I believe you people are fine. Yes, and if you are fine, we are going to have our lesson of economics. But as usual, before we start the lesson, we always begin with an opening prayer. So anyone willing to give us an opening prayer, please, you can put up your hand and then you give us that opening prayer. Yes, I'm waiting for a well-wisher who can give. Okay. All right. Yokoyasi, you can unmute yourself.
Lord, the Heavenly Father, we need to thank you for this wonderful moment. We need to thank you that you have given to us, Lord Father. We welcome you, let you be in the midst of our lesson. We pray all in the name of the living Father. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Yokoyas, for that prayer. So we are going to have our lesson started. And before we start, let me share the screen. And then we have okay. Yes, here we are. Edify sponsors this program, and Edify believes that each one of us deserves to learn and flourish. Okay. Then Edify is not alone. Edify works together with the Christian Owners Association, and works with the Christian Owners Association, then ICT Teachers Association of Uganda, and yes, the government of Uganda. Of course, can't be left out here. So today we are having economics with me, of course, teacher Busuulwa Joseph, and we are still looking at labor as a factor of production. Still looking at labor as a factor of production. And the other time, by the time we left, the other time we had looked at average product of average product of labor. We had even looked at marginal product of labor. So we are picking up from there. And so we had looked at this information the other time. I've only brought it back to remind us, remind ourselves where we stopped the other time. We looked at average product of labor, and as you can see, we said it is the total product produced per unit of labor in a given period of time. Total product per unit of labor. What a unit of labor produces, the total production of a unit of labor. So that is what we call or refer to as average product of labor. We also looked at a marginal product of labor, and we said it is the additional output produced by employing an additional worker. Okay, an additional output which is as a result of employing an additional worker. That is what we refer to as the marginal product of labor. This is another. A moment. Okay. Yes. We are saying that it refers to change in total product due to change in the number of workers employed. It is actually another way of defining marginal product of labor. We have seen this one here. We have defined it. So this is another way of defining it. Now, this one is leading us to the next topic now. The reason why I've brought it back is because we are still looking at the marginal product of labor. This one here, still looking at the marginal product of labor. So we are going to pick up from there. Okay. So now we want to look at measures that can be adopted to increase marginal product of labor. The measures that we can adopt to increase that statement there. That subheading you see there is biased. We are talking about to increase the measures that you can take to increase, okay, the marginal product of labor. Now, I would like to hear from you. Who knows some of the measures that we can take to increase the marginal product of labor? Some of the measures we can take. Yes? I'm waiting to hear from you. Some of the measures that we can take to increase the marginal product of labor. Hey, no one who knows some of the measures that we can take to increase the marginal product of labor? Okay. We are not going to waste a lot of time there. Let us try to look at the measures that we need to increase the marginal product of labor. So one, labor should be trained to improve its skills and expertise. Okay, so if we are to increase this increase you see here, if we are to increase, then that means, if we have increased, we've said we must train labor and then improve its skills. Once labor is trained and the skills are improved, then the additional output as a result of employing that additional worker will also increase. Okay, we have specialization should also be encouraged. Specialization should also be encouraged, right? So we are saying that once labor specializes in the production of a given commodity, then this labor will be efficient, and that additional output will always be high if this employer is up, if this employee is employed, if this unit of labor is employed, its additional output will always be high. Are we together? So we are talking about specialization, and I believe people by now know the meaning of specialization. Okay, so we have this other point here, which goes, supervision should be improved. Yes, if we are to have an increase in the marginal product, then supervision must also be improved. Once there is supervision, then workers will of course work effectively, and then that additional output will also be high. The political climate should be stabilized. And I think you are seeing the way we are giving these points. The political climate should be stabilized, meaning a stable political climate will enable the worker produce more. This additional worker will produce more simply because the political climate is stable. Okay. The quality of tools provided to labor should also be improved. You can see the quality of tools. The tools that are to supplement labor must also be provided, and the quality must be good. So once the quality is good, then the additional output will also be high, just in case we have employed an additional unit of labor. Now, political atmosphere. I think this is a repetition. We have seen this one already. The wage rate should be increased. This is another factor. The wage rate should be increased. Yes. If a worker knows that the wage is going to be high, then this worker will be efficient. And all the effort of this work will be focused towards producing. And at the end of the day, production will be high. So the wage rate to be paid has also has got to be increased. Okay. Working conditions should be improved. Working conditions should be improved. The conditions of work have got to be better if we are to expect a lot of output from an additional worker. Okay, now from there, we have gone to another subheading, and this is the mobility of factors of production. Mobility of factors of production. Now, when we talk about mobility of factors of production, we are automatically saying that there is what we call geographical mobility and occupational mobility. Now, are all factors of production mobile? No. All they are not. If they are not, what are the reasons why they are not? Are we together? A moment, let's see. Joy says, can we also talk about interest of work? Interest of work by the workers. Interest of work, the point is not clear. Interest of work by the workers. The point is not clear. Are you talking about the attitude, something like that? Attitude of workers towards work, something like that? Okay, you try to modify. Okay, attitude. I think if we are talking about attitude, somewhere we can talk about it. Attitude. Attitude can also, if the attitude is positive, then we might have an increment in marginal product. Okay. Okay. Now we are looking at mobility of factors of production. Mobility of factors of production. We are, by the way, you people, we are not looking at mobility of, say, labor. This is the factors of production in general. And if you are to define mobility of factors of production and you define it as mobility of labor, there you've lost the mark. So we must be keen on how we define some of these concepts. Okay, so we are looking at mobility of factors of production, and we are talking about the ease with which factors of production switches or transfer from one job or place to the other. The ease with which factors of production can switch or transfer from one job or place. Okay, I mean from one job or place to the other. That is what we are looking at. Now, when we talk about ease with which factors can move from one job to the other, then that is what we refer to as, that is what we call occupational mobility of factors of production. Then when we talk about factors moving from one place to the other, then that is what we refer to as geographical mobility of factors of production. Okay, so factor mobility refers to the ease with which factors of production can switch or transfer from one job to the other or place to another. That is what we refer to as factor mobility. Okay, now factor mobility, this is what I've explained, is either geographical or occupational. Okay, now here we are saying the geographical mobility of a factor. Geographical mobility of a factor is the ease with which a factor of production switches or transfers from one area to the other. I've also talked about this, okay? So the ease with which a factor can move from one area to the other. The ease with which a factor can switch or transfer from one area to the other is referred to as the geographical mobility of labor, while occupational mobility of a we are looking at factors of production, not labor. I've used the labor somewhere. It was a slip of the tongue. So we are looking at factors of production, not labor specifically. So we are saying occupational mobility of a factor is the extent with which a factor of production switches or transfers from one job to the other. We have also seen this. Okay, the ease with which a factor switches or moves from one occupation to the other, from one job to the other. That is what we refer to as an occupational mobility of labor. Now, I believe you people, you've got what we've talked about. And if there is any question, please, you actually put up your hand and then you ask. there is no question, and we proceed. So I believe there is no question because I'm not seeing any hand up. So we are now proceeding. Okay. Now we want to know the relationship between occupational mobility of a factor and factor specificity. Factor specificity. We want to know there is what we call occupational mobility and then factor specificity. What is the relationship between these two? Now, I would like to hear from you whether someone knows the relationship. Who knows the relationship between occupational mobility of a factor and factor specificity? Okay, Melissa, you can unmute yourself.
When a factor of production is highly specific, it is unable to change from one occupation to another, whereas when a factor is not very specific, it is easy, or there is more ease for it to change from one occupation to another, because when a factor of production is highly specific, it cannot easily change its ways or its means.
Okay, thank you so much, Melissa. That is what I wanted. Thank you so much. Melissa has brought out what I wanted. So we are saying that if a factor is specific, such a factor is occupationally immobile. Such a factor cannot easily switch from one job to the other. But factors that are not specific, those ones can easily move from one occupation to the other. Okay? So specific factors are occupationally immobile. Non-specific factors are occupationally mobile. That is what I wanted. Thank you so much, Melissa. And here we are. Highly specific factors have a high degree of occupational immobility, as they cannot be easily switched from one job to another. Are you getting it? They are specific. They cannot easily be moved from one job to the other. So those are what we call, that is the relationship between specificity of a factor and then occupational mobility. Okay? Now, this is the other side, because here we say the highly specific factors. Now, those which are not highly specific, we are saying, however, non-specific factors have a high degree of occupational mobility, as they can easily be switched from one job or activity to the other. Okay? So that one, yes, here we are with another. Now, remember, we've been looking at mobility, or we are still looking at mobility of factors of production. Now we have started looking at individual factors, not factors in general. So here we are now looking at mobility of land. The other time we've been looking at mobility of factors in general. Now we are specific, mobility of land. Okay? Now, before I continue, is land mobile? Who can answer that question? Do you think land is mobile? Yes. Anyone who knows whether land is mobile or not? Okay. Maula, you can unmute yourself. Mula, sorry. Bob, sorry, Mula. Oh, Mola, you are breaking. Oh, unfortunately, we cannot hear anything from Bob. Bob, unfortunately, we are not hearing anything. I don't know whether it's me who is not hearing, but I've not heard anything. Okay, sorry. Okay, then I have Michael. You can unmute yourself.
Teacher, land is not mobile.
Land is not mobile.
Yes.
That is from Bob or Michael? Michael. Okay. Michael says land is not mobile. Let me hear from some other people, then we'll come to a consensus. Melissa.
Teacher, land is occupationally mobile, but geographically immobile. We can do different jobs on a piece of land, but you cannot shift the land.
Okay. Thank you so much. Michael, you've heard from Melissa. Land can be occupationally mobile, but geographically immobile. Joy said, yes, of course, it is everywhere. Joy. Joy, that statement is not actually in line with what we are looking at. Maggie says, teacher, I think land is mobile. Okay. Yes, we are saying land is mobile occupational, but geographically immobile. Okay. Thank you so much. Those that have contributed. And here we are. And we are saying land is geographically immobile, as it cannot be transferred from one area to another. And that is true. We cannot transfer land from one area to the other. Okay. Yes. You can see now we are saying that, however, it is occupationally mobile, as activities carried out on land can easily be varied or changed. Okay. Yes. Activities carried out on land can easily be varied or changed, meaning that land is occupationally mobile. Okay. Yes, here we are. Now we have again moved to another factor. Before we were general, we looked at mobility of factors, but we are now singling out the factors. Now mobility of capital. Again, is capital mobile? Is capital mobile? Is capital mobile? Okay. Bob.
Good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine. I think it's both geographically mobile and occupationally mobile.
Okay, thank you for that. Then Michael. Michael, you can unmute.
Capital is mobile since it can be liquidated and transferred to another occupation.
Okay, thank you so much. All your answers are right. The two people that have contributed, yes, capital is mobile. Okay, capital is mobile, as we are seeing here, that some forms of capital are geographically and occupationally mobile. Anyway, we said some forms of capital are both geographical and occupationally mobile. Now, I would actually also add that there are some forms of capital that are not mobile geographically. Those ones that are heavy, we might not actually easily shift them from one place to the other. Okay? One might look at liquidating capital. For example, in terms of houses, you sell them off, but again, that house remains there. Are you getting it? Okay, so we are saying that, however, some forms of capital are occupationally mobile, but geographically mobile. Are you seeing? And this is the geographical mobility I've been talking about. There is some capital that is geographically immobile. Are we together? You cannot actually have that capital shifted. from one place to the other. That is why we are saying some forms of capital are geographically immobile, though they can be occupationally mobile. Okay. Joy says, okay, would you please explain to me what mobility means? Maybe I am not. Oh, okay. Someone would like to know what mobility is all about. Mobility, the way you hear the word, either moving from one place to the other or changing from one job to the other. Are you getting it? Changing from one occupation to the other. That is what we are looking at. Okay. Now we have another subheading here. Why some forms of capital are geographically immobile? Why some forms of capital are geographically immobile? Why is it that they cannot be moved from one place to the other? Okay, why? I don't know whether you people have some reasons why they cannot be moved from one place to the other. Those forms of capital which are immobile, why can't they be moved from one area to the other? I thought someone there had an answer or answers for this. Okay, Michael, you can unmute.
They had heavy infrastructure like buildings.
Okay, some heavy capital, like buildings. Such capital cannot be moved from one place to the other. Any other? Okay, without wasting time, I believe people would like to hear from this side. Now, there is this point here. High cost of transfer. High cost of transfer. Yeah. The moment costs are too high of transferring capital, then that capital becomes immobile. Okay. And here is our explanation. That some forms of capital are bulky, thus causing a challenge in transferring them to alternative places, making it geographically immobile. Okay, so we are looking at the cost of transferring, and some capital we've said is bulky and it cannot easily be moved from one place to the other. Another factor is inappropriateness in other areas. Inappropriateness in other areas. We are looking at capital being inappropriate in an area where I want to take it. It will be useless if you take it there. It is inappropriate there. It is only appropriate where it is. Okay, so that factor also makes it hard for capital to be transferred from one place to the other. Here we are saying some forms of capital are particular to specific areas in line with the resource endowment. Therefore, they are rendered useless to alternative places where resources they are supposed to exploit are non-existent, thus causing geographical immobility. I think you've got the point very well. You've got the point very well. I'm not seeing any hand up. Okay. Adiambo, you can unmute yourself.
Teacher, me, I have not understood that point. Please repeat.
Okay. I think let me look for an example for you to understand this point very well. Let us look at a country that has got oil resources and a country that doesn't have oil resources. We might be having a machine that extracts oil. Assuming in Uganda we've got oil the way we do, and in a given country there is no oil. Now, a machine that extracts oil will be rendered useless in an area where there is no oil. I don't know that I've given you the point. I've explained it very well. Are you getting it? Meaning that a machine that extracts oil will be inappropriate in a country where there is no oil. Therefore, such a factor will never move from where it is to another area. I don't know whether I've answered you, Adjambo. Have I answered you? I would like to hear from you whether you've got the point well, or you still have some other. Yes, have I answered you? Have I answered you?
Yes, I have understood.
Okay, thank you for that. We are looking at another point here. Here we are. And this is low returns to some forms of capital in alternative places. Low returns. A factor might be here, capital might be here, assuming in Uganda, okay? And this factor is actually producing a lot here in Uganda. And the moment you transfer it from Uganda, the moment you take a capital from Uganda to another country, then it will have low returns. Therefore, there will be no need for you to take that capital from where it is giving you high returns to an area where it will be giving you low returns. Okay. Okay, so this makes it uneconomical to transfer and utilize such capital in other places, leading to geographical immobility of such capital. I think you've got to that point. Where it is giving you high returns. Therefore, there is no need for you to take it to an area where it will be giving you low returns. Then we have this one, high cost of some capital. High cost of some capital. Yeah, some capital is not affordable in all the areas. And very expensive capital might not be used in areas where they cannot actually afford it. Okay, so we are saying this makes it unaffordable in some places. Therefore, it cannot be easily acquired for use in other places. That's geographical immobility. Yeah, there is capital which is very expensive. And this capital might not work in less developed countries, for example. Therefore, it will be useless for you to transfer that capital from where it can work better to an area where it will not actually work for you better. So those are the determinants of capital immobility. Now, from there, we've come to what we call labor mobility. Okay, labor mobility. Maggie, I'm seeing Maggie's hand up. Maggie, you can unmute.
Good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Hi. So, teacher, what I wanted to ask, what you mean high cost of some capital? Like it's almost the same as low returns to some forms of capital in an alternative. No, it's the same as inappropriate in some areas. Because you said, no. High cost of some capital is the same as low returns to some forms of capital in alternative places, because you've said that you can't you can't transfer your capital to some other area where you won't be, producing something like that. Are you getting me?
Okay. Yeah. Actually, I'm trying to get you, and here we are talking about, the other one was inappropriateness. I think that is what you are comparing it with. Inappropriateness.
No, I'm comparing it with low returns to some forms of capital, because you've said you can't take it to some other place when, I don't know how to explain, but I'm getting confused.
Okay. The last point we've talked about was actually about let me see a moment.
High cost of some capital.
Our point was high cost of some capital. Yes?
Yes.
Now, we are talking about capital being expensive. You understand? It is actually totally different with what you are talking about. Capital being expensive. For example, there is capital that we cannot afford here in Uganda. And once that capital is, for example, in USA, it will be useless for the USA people to bring it here in Uganda, because I mean, not even useless for them to bring it, but it is expensive for Ugandans to have that capital. Therefore, it will remain in USA because Uganda cannot afford that capital. I don't know that you are getting it.
I'm getting it now. Yeah, now
it is very expensive. Uganda cannot get it. Therefore, there is no way it can come to Uganda. The country is poor. I think you are getting the point. Therefore, it will remain there. It will be immobile there. I think you've got the point.
Yeah, now I'm no longer confused.
Okay, okay. Yes. There is another hand from. Okay. All right. So let us try to continue. So we are looking at labor mobility now. Okay, labor mobility, and I've been telling you, we've been looking at factors, like independent factors. We looked at land, we looked at capital. Now we've come to labor mobility. The same question I posed the other time. Do you think labor is mobile? The same question I posed for the other two factors. Do you think labor is mobile? Okay, Yokoyas, is labor mobile? Unmute.
Yes, master. Labor is both occupational mobile and the geographical mobile.
Okay, thank you, Yokoyas. I'm also okay. Okay, thank you. That is it. Labor is both geographically and occupationally mobile. But again, it depends. Okay, it depends, and we are going to look at we are going to look at that. We are going to see why I've said it depends. Okay. So by the way, I would have started by asking you to define it, but anyway, here it is, and we are saying it is the ease with which labor moves from one job to another or one area to another. The ease with which labor moves from one job to another or one area to another. Now, if one is to define labor mobility, and then you define it like this, the ease with which a factor moves, you've gone off. You've lost the mark. We need that word labor there. The ease with which labor moves, not the ease with which a factor moves. And likewise, if you are defining mobility of a factor, and then you define it as the ease with which labor moves, you've gone off. So you must be vigilant. You must be curious. Look at the words that they have actually brought, and then you give exactly what is needed. Okay, Yokoyas, unmute yourself.
What if, master, I defined it as is like the ability of the labor to move, to either move geographically or occupationally?
Okay. Yes, when you look at your definition, you are actually right. But again, you've brought in other concepts one would like to know, to understand it. You brought in concepts like a geographically, occupationally. One would like to know, what are you trying to mean? Assuming someone doesn't know what you mean by geographical mobility and occupational mobility, you would have confused that person. So you brought in concepts, other concepts that need to be explained also. Are you saying it? That is why it is better this way. However, Yes, it makes. Yes, can you hear me? Okay. Yoko, yes, I'm seeing your hand is up. Unmute yourself. Yoko, yes, unmute yourself. Hey, I don't know what is happening to you, Yoko, yes. Please unmute yourself. Okay, let me share the screen again. Okay, Joy says, can I say is how labor moves from one area to another? Yeah, Joy, you've got a point, but again, you are looking at one type of movement, okay? You are only looking at geographical mobility, okay? Let me share the screen again, okay? Let me first see. Yeah, it is Joy who says, can I say? Okay, okay. Let me share the screen again. Okay, so I think you can see, this is what we've been looking at, okay? And I've been telling you that the moment you say that it is the ease with which labor moves from one area to another, then you've actually defined one type of mobility, and that is geographical mobility. That is why we look at one area to another or one job to the other. And there we have covered the two movements. We have covered the occupational mobility and the geographical mobility. Okay, so I believe that one is clear. And let us look at this other information here. And we are saying it therefore includes the occupational and geographical mobility of labor. I think you are saying this information. It therefore includes occupational and geographical mobility of labor. Okay. All right. Joy was actually saying, okay. So now we have come to specifically look at geographical mobility of labor. And this is why I was telling my friend that Yoko, I've been telling you that the moment you say it is the ease with which labor can geographically or occupationally move, you've now brought two other concepts in your definition that we need also to explain independently. That is why I was saying the one I've given you is better. So we are now looking at geographical mobility of labor, right? And we are saying this is the movement of labor from one area to the other, geographical mobility, okay? The ease with which labor moves from one area to the other. The ease with which labor moves from one area to the other, that one you can see very well. Then now, now you are seeing this subheading here, causes of geographical mobility of labor. Causes of geographical mobility of labor. Causes. You are seeing the word. Causes of geographical mobility of labor. Now, what if it was determinants of geographical mobility of labor? Would you answer in the same way? Causes of geographical mobility of labor. Determinants of geographical mobility of labor. Anyway, let me hear from you. Some of the causes of geographical mobility of labor. Some of the causes of geographical. I'm seeing a hand up, and this is Bridget. You can unmute me.
Sir, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can.
Insecurity. Insecurity. Labor moves from one area to another due to insecurity in the current area.
Thank you so much, Bridget. Insecurity. And that is, of course, a good point. Insecurity. And it has been specific. The point was not a political situation. She said insecurity. I think if people are listening, that was a very good one. Okay. Thank you, Bridget. Then Daisy. Daisy.
Hey, teacher. Good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. My point is poor working conditions at the current job.
Yes.
Teacher, are you getting me?
Yes, I'm hearing you very well.
I said, teacher, I said, my point is poor working conditions at the current job.
Okay, that is true. Anyway, thank you for that contribution. Poor working conditions at the current place. This will force a worker to go to another area and look for work elsewhere. Okay. Thank you, Melissa.
Exhaustion of resources at the current workplace. Labor will move from the current workplace to in search of other places which have more resources to be used.
Thank you so much. It is good that people got my concept. People got what I wanted, and you are all giving the right points. Okay, Bob, unmute yourself.
The search for jobs. Labor moves from one place to another in search for employment opportunities or jobs.
Okay. All right, that was Bobby's contribution. Let us look at Joy. Joy, unmute yourself.
Yes, are you getting me?
Yes, clearly.
So my point is wage rate, like the high wage rate encourages more workers, then the low rate encourages low workers.
Oh, okay. Now Joy has a point. Joy has a point, but if you gave that point, Joy, you would have failed. The way you've even explained it. I will tell you, I'm coming to that. Don't worry. I'm going to, I will compare it with what I'm telling you. Don't worry, I'm going to, Okay, Yokoyas, you can unmute yourself.
Master, cost of living in the current area.
Yes. Okay. Yokoyas has a point. But that point, if you gave it specifically on this subheading, you would have failed. Adisan, unmute.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Yes, I'm good. I think my point is the government policy of labor tax.
Okay.
Government policy of labor tax. Yeah.
Okay. Government policy. Let me hear from Melissa, the last one, and then I give you. Melissa.
Presence of better social facilities in the alternative workplace. Labor will move to look for better social facilities when they are not experiencing good ones in their current job. For example, if they are not having enough recreation and something like that.
Okay, thank you, Melissa, and that is a good one again. Thank you so much. That is a good one. Now, okay, Yokoyasu, you are the last one because time is against us. Unmute.
Master, another one is the knowledge of the local language in the current area.
Local language in the current area. Okay, now the points you are giving apply somewhere. That is why I told you. Let me see. High cost of movement in terms of transport, That is Reina. That is true. Political climate. Now, political climate is a point that applies to this. Yeah. Okay. Let me now first tell you why I am actually refuting some of the points. Now, causes. This word here, causes. What makes labor to move? Are you getting it? Causes. What makes labor to move? Therefore, this statement is biased. We were looking at only factors that makes labor to move. And when you are stating a factor must be self-explanatory. Don't give me political situation. That point is already wrong. Are you getting it? Talk about political insecurity in the current place. That point is already self-explanatory. Are you getting it? But if it was the determinants, the statement would have been in neutral. Then you would bring such points like a political situation and all that. I think you've got to the point. So here we are only looking at what makes labor to move from one place to the other. So insecurity at the current workplace. This point has been given. We are not going to waste a lot of time there. We don't have enough time. And I've already talked about it. I've explained it. Then there is payment of different wage rates in alternative places. You understand? And if there is payment of different wage rates in alternative places, then labor might end up moving, okay, to alternative places where there are higher wages being paid. High level of unemployment. Are you seeing it? High level of unemployment. There is a lot of unemployment here, then labor will move, okay, to other areas. So we are only looking at labor moving, okay? Then natural calamities in some places. Once this area is not stable, you understand? A lot of natural calamities here, then labor will move away. You understand? Remember, we are looking at only labor moving to other areas. We are not looking at the other side of not moving, okay? Yeah, I think we are done with factors that makes labor to move. Now, some of the factors you people have been giving me fall under this subheading. Determinants of geographical mobility, not causes of geographical mobility. No, some of the points we've been giving fall under here. Determinants of geographical mobility of labor, and some of the points we've mentioned. In the interest of time, I may not actually come back to you. So we have availability of information on jobs in alternative places. You understand? Once there is information of alternative jobs elsewhere, then labor will move. But if there is no information, labor will stay there. Okay. Maggie? Maggie, unmute.
A question. Now, when they ask for the determinants, like what do they want? What does that mean? Well, what's the difference between the determinants and the causes?
Causes, you look at only what makes you only look at what makes labor move. Okay. Determinants, yes. You look at two sides now. What makes labor move and what might make labor stay. I don't know that you're seeing it. With the causes, the point, the subheading is biased. With the determinants, the subheading is neutral. You look at the two sides of the coin. Okay. What makes labor move and what might make labor stay. I don't know that I've got my point.
I get it.
Okay. Okay, so here we are. We said availability of information, and I've already told you, once there is information, okay, about the jobs available in other areas, then labor will move. And once there is no information, labor will not move. So that information is there. You will read it on your own. Then we are talking about availability and cost of transport. Okay, so once there is transport, there is good transport system, and the cost of moving is low, then labor will move, and vice versa when there is no good transport system, and even when the cost of transport is also high. Okay, then we have this one here, political climate. Now, remember the other time when we were looking at causes, we said the political insecurity. Are you seeing? But here we're saying a political climate. Our point is neutral, meaning that once the political climate is good, labor will not move. And once the political climate is not good, then labor will move, okay, to other areas. And it is what is in here. Political instability in the current place renders labor geographically mobile. As it moves to other places, it will reduce risk of losing life in the current place. However, a politically stable environment at the current place renders labor geographically mobile. I think you see the explanation. It is as easy as that and as simple as that. Then we've got language factor. If labor can speak different languages, then this labor can easily move from one place to the other. But labor that cannot speak different languages, then this labor will be geographically immobile. Okay, and it is what is here. Labor that is able to speak a diversity of languages is geographically mobile, and vice versa. To labor that cannot speak a diversity of languages. Okay, wage rate paid to labor at other places, and here we are saying a high wage rate paid to labor in other places renders labor geographically mobile. A low wage rate renders labor geographically immobile. That is what is here, this explanation here. Okay. Cost of living of the alternative place. Now we are saying a high cost of living in the alternative place will render labor geographically immobile, and a low cost of living in an alternative place then renders labor geographically mobile. Okay. Health condition of the worker. Yeah. Once a labor is mental and physically fit, then labor can easily move to alternative areas, and vice versa when labor is sickly. Then level of attachment to family, stroke marital status of labor. Yes, once labor is so much attached to the family, then this labor will be geographically immobile, and vice versa to labor that is not so much attached to the family. Okay, and government policy on migration of labor. So once the policy on migration is actually stringent, like the policies are stringent, then labor won't move, and vice versa to when there is a relaxed government policies on migration. Okay. Then age of the worker. Of course, all the workers cannot move, even when the opportunity of moving is there, and vice versa to the young ones. Okay. Then level of possessions one has at the current place. Yes, labor has a lot at the current place. Labor cannot move to leave the possessions, and vice versa to the other situation where labor doesn't have a lot of possessions at the current workplace. Okay. Then geographical. Now we are saying NB, geographical immobility of labor refers to the inability. Geographical immobility refers to inability by labor to move from one area to the other. Then now, these factors, you see factors hindering it. You look at the factors we have been looking at, and then you talk about them in a vice versa. They are the same factors we have been looking at. Okay. For example, we talked about advertisement, and it was new to advertisement. But here we are saying limited job advertisement. We are trying to be now you can say high cost of transport. The other time talked about to transport, it was just an open point transport. So here we are now calling it high cost of living. So these are the factors that we may not actually look at. Language barrier. Do you remember the other time when we talked about labor that can speak different languages? But here we are saying language barrier. So they are the same points, but brought in a way that is self-explanatory. The point must be self-explanatory. Labor being ill and weak, you can see. High level of attachment to the family, you can see. The other time it was new to attachment to the family. Here we are saying a high level of attachment. So they are the same factors. Okay. We may not waste time there, but they are the same factors. So we've come to the end of this lesson. Unless someone has a question before we actually get off, but I think everything has been fine. Okay, Ray.
Teacher, please share the screen of the causes of geographical mobility of labor one more time. I missed it.
Okay, now this is what I'm going to do. What is going to be posted in Google Classroom? Immediately after here, I'm going to post the work in just minutes. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. This one, we are time barred.
Now here, factors, hindering and factors that, okay, influence. Yeah? If I use high or low, am I right?
High or low? Okay, it might not necessarily be high or low. Not necessarily high or low, but the point is neutral. Like you explain both sides of the point. Okay? Yeah. Yes. And finally, we have Adiambo.
Teacher, please quickly differentiate between the causes and the determinants again.
Okay. Causes, we are only looking at what forces labor to move. Okay, we are only looking at labor moving, labor leaving the place where it has been working to another place. Are you getting it? Only that size. But when it comes to determinants, we look at what makes labor move and what might not make labor move. We look at two sides now. Are you getting the point?
Yes.
Okay. So we've come to the end of this lesson. You people, thank you for listening to me. And I'm wishing you a nice week and a good day. Okay? Thank you for listening to me. We've come to the end of this lesson. Here is our assignment. You try it out and turn in for marking. That is the assignment there. So we've come. And of course, I always tell you that this program has been funded by Edify Uganda, okay, organized by Christian School Owners Association and then implemented by TAU, okay. Okay, I'm seeing another hand up. Sharon. Sharon, can you unmute yourself? I think Sharon cannot unmute. Okay, so we've come to the end of this lesson. Thank you for listening to me. Yeah. We'll be meeting up again. By the way, I'd forgotten. Oh, this is very important. I'd forgotten. Like the other time we told you that these Zoom lessons are ending this week. Then the other 2 weeks we are going to be doing our exams and then doing corrections. But again, studying is not going to end here. Yes, this information is so much important. Studying is not ending here. We are going to be making videos, and these videos are going to be posted in on our website, on our YouTube channel, under Christian School Owners Association. So you'll be visiting, okay? You'll be visiting that YouTube, and then the recorded videos are going to be there. And we are going to be continuing. We are going to be continuing from where we have stopped. Like here in economics, I'll be picking up from where I've stopped. Those doing history, I'll be picking up from where we've ended in history. Then I will also add more papers. For example, history, I will add paper 1. All this information is going to be there. History, I'll be adding it, paper 1. Those who visited the Colibri studio, I had already posted, I posted there information about the Egyptian revolution. So I'll also be making videos about that paper, okay? So we'll be having more lessons from there, more videos from there, okay? Okay. So we are ending here for now. We are going to be,